search.
Mhm.
But the thing is, do tags help with that?
They can. Google search engine optimization is a bit of a black art, right? So
Yeah.
there's what exactly Google uses. I mean, tags can certainly be a thing that can help you out. But Google is very sensitive to people trying to spam search results. So too many tags can be something where Google will say, oh, you have too many of those, or we don't care about them, or whatnot.
Right.
So
Would that
it's,
even work in like a password protected post? Like if I have it's private for each classroom has a password for each classroom. So like if I have a tag in a post that's password protected, would that even matter? Because it's password protected.
well, yeah, Google won't be able to see your
Yeah,
password
Google.
protected post.
Yeah,
So it's hidden from them.
right.
Right, so other people will be able to see the tags or whatnot. Or then Google may see an excerpt depending on how the theme is going to display it. A lot of this is going to depend on which theme you have, because themes display things in different ways. Some themes display the tags, some don't. Some display the categories, some don't. That's something some of them have it as a user settable thing that you can do. So let's add some categories and see what it does. I'm not that familiar with actually 2017 how it works, but we'll or how it works with the categories and stuff. But we'll take a look and see what it looks. So go over here. So now we have a category of uncategorized. So let's add a new category of testing. All right. So and we can just add that category right there. So now we can say this is part of this testing category. We're going to uncheck the uncategorized. And so we'll add some tags, and we'll say, I don't know, I'm going to tag this redfish and bluefish. You can just type them right in there, or you can type them in by, you can separate them by commas. You can go, okay. So that's all you do to add them. As first category, you showed me before, all I did was click on End of Category. Now you can manage the categories over here, right? So you can go over there, let's update this, and it will show you categories. Just to show you over here, you can do I don't know if you were asking me about the password protected. If you click on visibility, it will give you that option to make it password protected. You can also make it private, so if you're working on something and you want to share it with people, but you don't want it to be out to the world yet, you can make it private, so only people who are logged in can see it. And there are a lot of other ways that you can do protection of posts. There are membership plugins and all sorts of interesting things like that. So if you have a member, if you're trying to manage members in that way, you can have different content for different levels of members, which usually involves plugins and a little bit of jiggery pokery, but you can do a lot of that kind of stuff. We can go over here and we can click on categories, and it will show us what categories we have. See the testing category, we have the uncategorized category. And actually in this mode for post, you can do a quick edit, and you can see what's here. So if you don't want to click through to the whole post, and there's a couple of things that you can change about it right here. You can change it. So like if I change it back to, if I change this date back, now I see the testing category, and now it has an entry, and if I went to the front page, it would be there.
What is the parent category?
Okay, so parent category. Let's talk about it. It was a question. So obviously we can have categories, and then of course we can have subcategories, and categories below that. So some people find it useful in a way to organize their site in that way. So for instance, they could have, we can go back to our movie blog. We could have a sci-fi category, and then we could have subcategories: monster, space adventure, different types of things like that. So, and in a lot of ways, it all depends on how you want to organize your site. a lot of different kind of strategies for organizing your site. Some people may not like the tags, they may want to use subcategories instead. They may like to have a mix of it, right? You can have subcategories and subcategories below that and subcategories below that. You can nest them. I'm not sure how deep you can go, but you can go probably deeper than you should. But so there are just a lot of ways to kind of do that. And in WordPress, there is this idea of a child-parent relationship between any two objects. And so you can do that, for instance, in pages too. You make a page, you can have a page that's kind of a sub-page of that page, where it's, this page belongs to that page and this page belongs to that page. And how that actually works is going to depend on how you set up your site and what the theme is and stuff like that. But any kind of two objects inside the WordPress can have a parent-child relationship. What exactly that means and how it works is going to depend on what exactly it is and how you set your website up. But if you find it useful to have subcategories, then go ahead and have some subcategories. There are a million ways to organize any WordPress site. As long as it makes sense for you and your visitors, that's all that matters. So let's talk a little bit about images. This is not strictly a WordPress thing, but it's important to understand when we talk about images. First of all, the difference between image size and pixels and file size. Those are related, but not always the same thing. You can have images that have a high file size, but are actually not very large pixel-wise. Your average screen for a full HD screen is 1920 by 1080. So generally, it doesn't make sense to have images that are much bigger than that. They take up a lot of space. Those images that we had from before are really quite large, the ones that we downloaded from Unsplash. And so if you were going to use those kind of images, it would make sense to make them smaller before going ahead and did it. Also, aspect ratio is very important. You can see here some different aspect ratios. This is 16 by 9, which is a normal screen ratio, 4 by 3, which is a kind of an old TV set ratio. The aspect ratio of your image is going to make a big difference as far as when it's displayed. And depending on what theme you use and how you set it up, if you use the wrong aspect ratio, it can just make the site look weird. You have a theme that expects an aspect ratio like this in its featured image and uses it in that way, and you use one that has this aspect ratio, that's going to maybe chop it up, take a bit of it instead of showing you the whole image, or maybe it will just squash it or something. So it's important to try and understand when you're working, what's the best shape of your image to do that. And it's important also to look after your file sizes. This is a more advanced thing, but if your images are too big, your pages are going to load slowly. And that's also something, when we talk about Google gives you for everything. So if your page is too heavy and it loads too slowly, Google will give you a little bit of hit you for that. They don't like that. I want to cover this because this is a question I've had in a couple of my other things. If this is a little simple for you, that's all right. But just, you'll ask me, what images can I use? Okay. Some people said, I can just search on Google and use those images. Don't do that. So you can use, obviously, pictures you take yourself. You can use stock photos that you pay for. You can photos that you pay someone else to take for you, although I put a little star here. It's important when you do that you make sure that the rights to the photos that you're paying for, if you're paying a professional photographer to take those pictures for you, that they're giving you the rights to those photos to use them in the way you want to. Photographers should be very touchy about the rights and who owns the rights to the photograph. You may think just because you pay them, you own the photograph. That's not necessarily the case. In fact, a lot of photographers will say, no, I'm not going to sell you the rights to the photograph, I'm just going to sell you the right to use it. So, they may say, okay, you can use it here or not there, and then if you want to use it more, then you have to pay me more money. It's just something to be aware of. Images from free sites. If you go to my class notes page, I put some links to some free image websites. The Unsplash one that we had before, which is quite nice. There's Pexels, there's Pixabay, Wikimedia, there's a bunch of them. I have some links on my website. Like I said, don't use random images you found on other sites. Google images, stock photo comps. Anybody know what that means? You go to a stock photo site like Deposit Photos or iStock Photo or whatever, they let you download a free comp, which will say like iStock Photo or whatever, the watermark. Some people just use that on their website. You would think that the people wouldn't, but they do. Don't do that. And don't use any photos if you don't have the right to use. This is not a strictly a WordPress thing, but it's come up in a couple of my classes, and so I just kind of like to address it. So I think it's important. Okay. All right. Since we're here, let's make a quick page. Pages are the same as posts. They use the same interface. The difference is that you don't have any categories. You don't have any tags. You just have a page. So this is we can call this about us. Pages can also have featured images. But they might not necessarily, depending on what your theme does, they may not do anything. Just copy some of this. Go into the visual mode, we'll see what happens. Nothing that exciting. So, and we talked about parents before, parents and children. So if you had a page with subpages, you can make a sample page. There's no menu here, so that's okay. Okay. Any questions? We're kind of going pretty fast now. It's 8 o'clock already. Is everybody kind of keeping up? Does this kind of make sense to what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I want to go back to the optimizing the Google search thing. Is there anything else you can do, like add, like to kind of put something in there just to kind of make it stand out more, to pick it up in Google
Yes,
search?
you can. There are plugins you can use to do that. That will help you kind of craft your individual pages and posts so that they're more appealing to Google. Yoast, search engine optimization plugin, is used a lot. A lot of people like it. I use it on most of my websites, and it will help you kind of give you some hints on what you want to do. Search engine optimization is a whole big topic, and there's a lot of information. There's things about keyword searching and how you use the keywords in each individual page. Using subheads is good, especially if you have like a long post or a page. To have subheads where you have subtopics that you're talking about. So there's a lot of different things, and there's the Google page speed, and there's the mobile stuff. So there's tools that Google can use that will help you rank your website as far as how fast it loads and how mobile friendly it is, because that's very important for Google these days. If your website has an SSL certificate, that's a very important thing for Google right now. So if you have you see up here we have a little icon that says it's secure and HTTPS. That's almost everybody should have that now. It used to be a thing that was only if you were doing like e-commerce and stuff like that, but now that should basically be on every website. So
What was that?
SSL. You see the little green lock there where it says secure. It's HTTPS. So that shows that the encrypted traffic to and from this site is encrypted, and no one can spy on it. So that's a thing that Google will look for now. And if you don't have it, you get it down from that. But exactly what Google looks for and what they don't, it's kind of hard to say. There's other things you can do. Getting links from other websites is important. So if you're have a site and it's about certain things, and there are other sites that are also about those certain things, And if you can get them to give you some links, either links to the individual posts or links to your site itself, it gives you a little link juice, and it can help you improve your thing. But it's getting a good Google rank is it can be a lot of work, and there are people who specialize just in that. And so
I see that's a ton of information on it when you Google it.
right, of course, yeah, and it can be very complicated, like a lot of these things. It's very
Do
complicated.
keywords help at all when you add them into your page? If you add them right into the
Well, yes, it depends on what keyword you're looking for.
Yeah.
So, like, this is well beyond the scope of this class. We'll just talk about it real quick. So, for instance, let's say I want to write a post about a very specific thing. I want people who are searching for a very specific thing to find my post. And so you have to decide what that specific keyword is. You try and use it in your post. You use it in the title. You use it in the URL. You mention it a couple times in the thing itself. So you're trying to show that this keyword or variants of that keyword are important to your page. It works better if it's something that's more specific, right? So if you're trying to rank for, say, movies, that's obviously hard, right? If you're trying to rank, for the movies of Wes Anderson, maybe that's a little easier, because it's a little bit more specific. If you're trying to rank for, interesting imagery in Wes Anderson movies or something like that, or whatever, this or specific performance in one, that sort of thing. The more specific you get, the easier it is to rank higher, but obviously you get, the amount of search traffic for that particular thing is lower. But that's what people want these days, which is what they call long tail keywords. In other words, you write a post that's about a specific thing, maybe you only get 5 visitors today or this month, but you'll get 5 next month, and 5 the month after, and 5 the month after that. So over time, there's a lot of value there because people will keep coming back to your page because it's about this specific thing, which no other page is about, or there aren't many. I have a client who's an adoption agency, and I've been trying to push them to write more specific things, instead of just like, financing your adoption, financing your adoption in a specific way, or that sort of thing, or specific, things that may happen. So it's, it's difficult, and it can be very complicated. So anyway, that's my very basic primer on search engine optimization.
Are you going to talk about menus and how you can?
Yes.
Okay.
We will talk about that. We have half an hour, so let's talk a little bit about where are we going. All right, I'll talk quick about widgets, just because I have this on here. All right, widgets are defined areas on your website. You can use code, stick some code, whatever. Depending on your theme, the widgets may be in different spots. So like here on this page, you can see these are widgets, and some footer widgets, whatever. So we go here, we go to Appearance and Widgets. We can customize the widget areas on our website. We can see here which widget areas you get are dependent on your theme. So we have the sidebar, footer 1 and footer 2. Different theme will have different widget areas. So the sidebar is that area along the side. It's this area here. So we can tell we can tell WordPress, you can tell Google that and listen to us. We can tell WordPress what it is. And so these are the ones that come here. So we can see how we have a search, we have recent posts. So for instance, like we have the recent post thing, we can say, oh, we don't want that many posts. We only want 2. You can save it. We can do all sorts of things here. We can do, so for instance, we talked about tags. We can throw a tag cloud in there. Right, we can just click and drag from over here. Or we can put some text there. So if you wanted to have some text, a text widget, you could do that. Right? Let's say you wanted to just have some notice on the side, like, this is the best. this editor is the same editor as the post editor. And now if we go back to the Babylon test site and do a reload, you can see here we've made some changes, right? So we added this. We added this widget, this welcome widget, where I just put some text. We added this tag cloud widget. We changed the recent post widget so it only shows 2. So you can do any number of things. And any place where there's a widget area on your website. So for instance, there are footer widgets. Is there anything in them? No, there's nothing. But there are footer widgets, so we could put stuff in the footer. A lot of people use those footer widgets for like credits or stuff like that, or links to other things. So that's just a basic overview of widgets. Widgets are, some themes use a lot of widgets. They have a lot of widget areas. They may have widget areas in the footer, they may have widget areas on the sidebar, they have widget areas on top. Some websites actually use what they have like a whole widgetized layout, where the way that you do the layout is basically sticking your content in these various widget areas to make the page layout work. Like they have like a pre-made layout with areas for you to put your content, and the way you put your content there is just to put them in those specific widget areas. Just a basic overview of widgets. So, back here. Working with menus. Okay. I don't even get that joke. I don't even know if Chinese restaurants do that. Okay, so what are menus? Menus are collections of links, either to places on your own website or places off your website. It's basically a bag of links. You can link to anything you want. Either you can link to your posts, you can link to pages, you can link to your categories, you can link to pages on someone else's website. There are interesting ways you can use the menu items to like do like a clickable link for a phone number, all sorts of different things. Almost all themes have at least one or more menu areas. Menus can also be used inside a widget area. Since these are a bag of links, you can stick, there are menu widgets, so you can make a menu, stick it inside a widget, and that'll just basically be a list of links on your website. That replaces the old links. The WordPress used to have like a links function where you could just add links. It doesn't really work anymore, but that used to be a thing. Now you're just supposed to use menus. So let's say, how do we work with menus? So if we go to Appearance and Menus, this is our menu control area. So there are two things. There are menus, which are the collections of links, and then there are menu areas, which is where they go. So if we wanted to create a menu, so we can say over here, we can click these links. We can say Create Menu, and I'm going to call this our main menu. A lot of themes will have this, will create one automatically for you with like all your pages and stuff. So it's good to start from fresh. Just create a new one. And then we can add some pages. So we'll add those. All right. And we can add a post to our menu. So let's add one of our posts. That'll go in there. You can actually also link to your category. So let's link to our uncategorized category right there. And let's say Save Menu. And then we go over here to where it says Manage Locations. And we have two menus. So this particular theme, which is 2017, has two menu areas. That has a top menu and a social links menu. So we can go here to the top menu and go, we want our top menu to be this main menu, which we just created. And we're going to save it. And then we go back to our Babylon test site. And there's the menu, like that. Now we can do some other things with the menu. So for instance, if we were at our menus and we wanted to create like some drop-down sub-menus, let's say we wanted all of our posts to be in our menu for some reason, we can go to here, we can add all of these posts in, all right? And then we can make a custom link. Now this is where you would put, if for instance you wanted to link to some external page, right? You can just make that link here. But for our purposes, we're just going to make a thing called My Posts. The URL is just going to be a hashtag. And so now what we've done is we've made this My Post link, which actually doesn't link to anything. We can move it around, and then we will put all of these posts underneath it. Like that. And as you see, we can do multiple levels of submenus. And the only way you need to do it is just to go and move it around. Look how easy that is. I remember when we first did menus on WordPress, it was a giant pain. I coded it up manually.
Oh, God.
What a pain in the ass. Now all you have to do is that. And now you can see, here's the sub thing that I did. My post, third post, whatever, second post, third post, right? You can make as many of these sub menus as you want. No one's going to stop you. Probably somebody should. But anyway, that's how you work with menus. Like I said, it's just like, similar to the widget areas, there are menu areas on your website that are defined by the theme. So this theme, which is the 2017 theme, has two. It has the top menu, it has the main menu, the top menu, which we were just working on, and it has a social links menu, which is probably in the bottom somewhere. We're not going to use that one right now. But you can stick it, you can put any menu anywhere, the menu can go somewhere else. And in fact, if you want to, if you create a menu, and then there are menu widgets where you can use them to access those menus. So you can create as many menus as you want. It's not going to affect anything. The only thing that's going to make a difference on your website is what a menu is in the menu area. So if I created like another menu, right? And I created a new one, and I'll call this test menu. And now this test menu, I'm just going to add these 2 pages to it and save it. But we haven't made any changes here. This is still the same because I didn't put it in any location. I created the menu, but I didn't put it anywhere. So it's not going to affect anything until I actually put it somewhere. But say if I wanted to put the menu in, and in fact here is where you can say, like it says here, main menu, which is your top menu, test menu, which is national location. We could go here to manage locations, and if I made the social links menu my test menu, now that's going to go, where's it going to go on this website? Down here. It's interesting. It has these links. Anyway. I know, we're almost at the end. It's okay. All right, so menus. Any questions about menus? Okay. All right, plugins. So plugins are basically programs that we install into WordPress that make it do other things, okay? And almost every WordPress website has at least a few plugins. Some have many plugins, and some have way too many plugins. So it's always good to, you can install plugins if they do things you want to do, but judiciously, don't install more than you need, because it can slow down your website and it can introduce vulnerabilities. But as you see, there are all sorts of different kind of plugins. You can get plugins from a lot of different places. You can get them from WordPress.org itself, which is what we're going to do tonight. But you can also get them from third parties. There are a lot of places that sell plugins. Either they sell like a whole bunch of plugins. There are companies that all they do is just sell one plugin. Gravity Forms, which is an excellent form program for WordPress that I use on also my client sites. That's all they do. Rocket Genius, all they do is sell that one plugin. And they make a lot of money doing it because it's really good. There are also plugins that modify other plugins. So for instance, if you have like WooCommerce, there are plugins that get installed into WooCommerce that modify WooCommerce. That's kind of how they get you with WooCommerce, because the WooCommerce is free, but the plugins themselves are often, you have to pay. So all these different kind of plugins. So let's look in real quick and see how we install a plugin and how that works. So tonight we're going just to install the plugins directly from the WordPress dashboard. Okay. If you get a plugin from like a Gravity Form from some third-party company that you have to pay for, you have to install it kind of manually, which is you go here to plugins, you go to add new. Now, when we go to add new, it's going to show you a list of plugins that you can get from WordPress.org. All their plugins are available through this dashboard, so you don't have to actually go to their website and look at it. Although you can if you want to do sometimes it's easier to do research that way. If you have one that you paid for and you downloaded, you'll have to use this button. This is the Upload Plugin button. And you can click on that button, it'll tell you to choose a file. You click on the Choose File, find a file, upload it, and it will install it. There are some issues that go along with that, but we won't talk about them tonight. Okay. So you can go here. You had a question about SEO, so we type in SEO and we look, okay, here are some plugins that help us with SEO. This is the one that I normally use, so I'm just going to install it. I'm going to show you how it works. Okay. You do a search, you find the plugin you want. It's important to look at, if you're looking at plugins, it's important to look at, for instance, the rating. As you can see, Yoast plugins are this is very highly rated. There are 20,000 ratings and over 1 million active installations. If there's a plugin that you come across which doesn't have a lot of installations, which is maybe lowly rated or doesn't have any ratings, you have to use your best judgment. I mean, a lot of those plugins are fine, but maybe you want to test them out on some other website first before you install them on your main website. Just to see exactly what they do. Do some research. But we're going to install this plugin. So for here, we can just go to Install Now, and it just installs it for us. Look at that. You don't have to download anything. Boom, it's installed. So now that it's installed, we have to activate it. Until we activate it, it's not going to do anything. The code is on our website, but it's not doing anything. So we activate it. So now this plugin has done some things to our website. You can see here now there's a new thing up here in this bar up here. What is that? That's the Yoast Seo notification that they put into our admin bar. So it tells us some stuff. And we can go over there and click on it and say, okay, what are you telling me? And we have detected one problem with your search engine optimization. What does it say? You're blocking access to robots. Remember when we did that at the beginning of the class? Now Yoast is telling us, hey, you want people to see your website, if you want Google to index it, you have to fix that. So that's useful, right? If we're doing this, and we're ready to go live, we're going to check and see what Yoast says about our website. This plugin does a lot of other interesting things. So for instance, now if we go to our posts, You can see now that Yoast is telling us interesting things about our post. In fact, one of the things that we can do with Yoast is we can go over here, we can say, okay, we can change the way that Google displays our post if we show up in the links. So we can edit this. We can edit our, if we click on the sharing icon, we can customize how Facebook or Twitter sees our post if it gets shared out. This will also give you some information, things about, like we talked about keywords. If we type a keyword in, it will give you some hints of how to better improve your post so if you want to interested in that keyword. So I'm just showing you this because each plugin does different things. Some of them do a lot. This one does a lot. Some of them do one thing. So one of the plugins that I use all the time is called Really Simple SSL. It basically makes sure that all the elements on your website go through the secure channel. None of them accidentally go through the insecure channel. That's very useful, especially for sites that are old. But that's all it does. So some plugins may do one thing. I have another plugin that I use a lot called Better Search and Replace, which can do a search and replace globally on everything in your website, in all the data tables. Obviously, you can break things that way, so you have to be careful. But it's very useful if you're moving from one domain to another. You can change all the domain, stuff like that. So these are just examples. There's a million things you can do. But if you're going to do it, that's how you install a plugin. All right? So, we're going to get near the end here, and I'm running out of voice. I'm going to show you how to install a theme. So if we go to Appearance, and then Themes, okay, we can see here that we already have installed 3 themes. So 2017 is the one that we're using now, right? This is our one. Out of the box, you also get 2015 and 2016. WordPress gives you basically comes out with a new theme every year since 2010. They've come out with a new theme every year, which basically is kind of demonstrates some of the features of WordPress. So there is no 2018 yet, probably because they're waiting for Gutenberg, which we won't talk about because I'm very unhappy about it. But 2017, 2015, 2016. So let's just show, just for example, let's see what happens if we switch our theme. So this is our theme, this is our site now, right? This is our site, this is what it looks like. You can see that we've done some stuff to it. So what happens to us if we change our theme? So here we go, let's go to 2016 and activate it. And now, let's look at the site. Now it looks like this. So you can see that's quite different. It's not super, super different, but it's reasonably different. Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
So it literally just takes everything and just changes.
Everything just changes. So we've changed the theme. So let's do this again. Let's change it to, which one do we do? Yeah, we do 2016. So let's try 2015. See what it does. All our content is there. A lot of our widgets are there, right? The menu is different on this one. You can see the menu is now over on the side, right? It's still there, but the menu area is now over here, right? So this is all different. It's all changed, right? So we can do that. We can change the themes and we can change the look of our site. Let's do one last thing. Let's download a new theme and see what that looks like. You can go here to the Add Themes, and you can go over here and it will list all the themes. These are all free for you to use and try. Let's click on Popular. Let's find a popular theme. And let's try this one. Ocean WP is a very popular theme. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. I'm interested to see what happens when we activate it out of the box without me actually. See, now here it's telling me this theme recommends the following plugins: Elementor, Ocean Demo Import, Ocean Extra, right? So what this is telling me, I've installed this theme, and this theme is telling me, oh, well, if you really want to use this theme in the right way, we want you to install these plugins too. So again, it can be, especially if you buy a theme, a lot of the ones that you buy want you to install a whole bunch of plugins. And if you don't do it, it may not work properly. Let's not do it for now. Let's take a look and see what this has done to our website. So it actually looks, oh, it's interesting. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. So it's different. See, that's different. It's kind of the same as that one. That's different. So these are some of the different looks we get out of our website just by changing the theme. And some of them can be quite different, right? So if we go to let's try this one. See what happens. Wow, look at that. So now it looks really different, right?
Yeah, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you change that picture of tomatoes?
Probably. So let's, in the last waning minutes of this class, let us explore the customizer and see what it tells us. Up here, there's a little thing that says customize. And click on that. And here, we've got theme options. So it says here, header image. So let's see, we have some different header images. And here's some, like here it gives you some options. Or you can say add new image. So we can use one of the images that we uploaded from before. And here it's going to tell me, okay, select and crop. And now that's up.
Oh, very cool. What about the color? Say like, now the color of the top doesn't match.
Well, let's see if that's here. See now, something else about this is that, let's see what the color is. Let's see what it.
I know, that's just the text color.
So, a lot of these themes may have limits on what you can do with them. They may want you to buy their paid version, and so the version you get from the WordPress.org site is a limited version. But it's you can certainly try it out and see what works. Like I said, you can see the power of themes, and you can really do a lot with them. But if you use a theme that really does a lot, you probably need to put some work in before it actually does anything. You may need to do a lot of customization and some other stuff, whatever. So for instance, the theme that I use for most of my clients is called Divi, which is a great theme with a lot of power. But honestly, right out of the box, if I don't touch anything, it looks pretty dull and boring. It doesn't do anything
Like
for
our
you.
website.
Right.
I hate our website.
But anyway, and then when you're done with it, you go publish. So like here, it says Go Pro. Right, so they want to sell us the pro version of this thing. And there's some other things you can manage in here too. So here's your site identity. So let's say we changed these things before in that settings. You can also change them here. You can put a logo in there. You can change your site icon, which is what will show up. It'll show up here. So like here, instead of this little page or whatever, you go to a lot of websites like here in CNN. They have the little CNN up there. That you can do that. You can use your site icon and change that. So this is all kind of like built right in, pretty easy for you to do it with. Some you may have interest. So you see we got the menus. So here we can do menus from here also, and widgets, and you can also do additional CSS. So that's very exciting. So if you're a coder and you want to put some extra CSS code in there, you can do it right from here without having to get a different plugin. That's useful sometimes. You can just go, if you change things here, it will automatically change it on the website. So if you want to play around with CSS and not actually make any changes, you can enter it in here, see what happens, and then if you don't like it, just delete it. So if you're learning, teaching yourself CSS, that's a good tool.
Quick question.
Shoot.
If you, let's say if you pick a template from Appearance, a theme, and then you get a plugin like Elementor, that sort of superimposes
Yes.
over that theme?
Yes, yes. So if you use like a page builder like Elementor, you can build a page and then, and then set that as your main page, as your static page. We saw before, we had that, let's go back to here, do it from here too. Under the home page settings, if you set a static page as your main page, that means that you won't see your blog page. So now this is the main page, right? This silly About Us page. So you can make that whatever you like, right? So if you have an Elementor and you make a nice Elementor page, you can set that as your main page or one of your other pages. And that way when people come to your website, that's what they'll see, right? They won't see the blog border. So Elementor is really good, does a lot of stuff. But again, the Elementor is another one where it's like you have a free version and the paid version. So I played around with the free version. Divi has the same similar page builder interface, and that's what I've been using now the last couple of years. It's really good. Well, you have to buy it. It's like $250. So I use it for all my clients, so it's worth it. So, any final questions? Any last? Yes.
I'm a wedding photographer.
Yeah.
I already have a gallery, an online gallery that's secure, that does fulfillment,
Right.
and I have WordPress blogs
Right.
that I use. I was wondering if it would make more sense to just have a WordPress website and link this, the galleries, the security, the credit card ordering is all built into that. So
Right, and I think that does make sense because you don't want to really go in and reinvent the wheel, right? There's no reason for you to do that. If you have a solution now that works for you well, then there's no reason to try and reinvent that in a WordPress site unless you're very excited about doing that or you think you can save a lot of money or something like that. But if the solution you have now works for you well and you're happy with it, then there's no reason to put any of that functionality in your website. Just link them. You want to put your pictures in your website because you want people to see all of your great wedding photos, but you don't want, when people want to do their ordering of pictures or whatever they're going to do, you want to link to that other site. Because to remake that functionality in WordPress would be, challenging, right? So it could be expensive, go into a lot of money, and whatever, and it's almost certainly not worth it for you. You have a solution that works for you, you should just use that solution, just link to it, and just make your WordPress blog, make your WordPress site an advertisement for your company, which is, that's the best function.
Okay, is there anything, a plugin, a theme that would disenable people from just sliding things off onto the desktop or save things?
No, and then this is a question that people ask a lot, especially people who are photographers or creative people that say, I'd like to make sure that no one can save my pictures, save the pictures, whatever. There is literally no way that you can do that. Because the truth is that there are things you can do to prevent people from saying right-click save, right? There are ways you can do that. But the way anyone who has any technical knowledge at all can get around that with no problem, right? You can just turn off JavaScript in your browser, or there are programs that just crawl a whole website and just suck down everything that's on it. There's all sorts, you could do a view source and see the images directly. So there's all sorts of different things. And the more trouble you make it for somebody, mostly what you're doing is you're going to annoy the people who you want to sell to, right? So the best thing you can do is put some watermark on there if you're really concerned about someone taking your pictures and using them for their own purposes. Put a watermark on there and just, whatever. If you want, you could always put the high-res photos behind like some sort of password protected or something like that. So that way, you could put the lower-res photos out on your website with watermarks if you want. And then if you really want to see like the higher res photos to see the quality of the pictures, then you could give them sort of password. So, but in the end, I think that really worrying about that is not, you know, in the end, I don't think that it really makes sense to worry about, you know. Mostly what people want to come to your website, they want to see your work, and you want to make it easier for them to see your work. Because when they see your work, then they're going to want to hire you. And if you make it a problem for them, then you know, they may just go somewhere else. No problem.
I just have one quick question.
Sure.
How long would it take to update a version of WordPress? Like, because it says that your site might be under construction or whatever online, so how long would it take to do that?
It shouldn't take more than, I don't know, 10 minutes.
Oh, okay, great.
Maybe not even that long. It depends on what the version is you're updating to and whatnot.
Okay,
It's not very long.
all right.
All right, so let's wrap this up. All right, we did the themes, we did the customizer, keep your site updated, WordPress security, use a good password. All right, so please give me feedback at this URL will provide you information on things we discussed tonight, information about a lot of different things, including links and other stuff. There's a form on this page, which is a feedback form. Feel free to give me some information about what you enjoyed about this class and what you didn't. You know, some suggestions for next classes, and see if you'd like to get put on my mailing list for the next class, that sort of thing. And that's pretty much it. Anyway, so probably the next class is going to be, I'm probably going to do one again, and I'll probably do two again whenever. I don't have any plans to do more classes, actually.